Okay, I think we're recording. Pat Knows Vets here. This video is not going to be about Carolina Reapers. Instead, what I wanted to do was give just a brief review of something that I did yesterday, Sunday, uh, pretty much the whole day yesterday, August the 28th. And that was I got to be a participant in Adrian Paul's sword experience down in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the National Corvette Museum. Had heard about the sword experience. I'm a huge Highlander fan, big fan of Adrian Paul. Was a fan of his even back before the Highlander, back when he was on a TV show called Dark Shadows. And I'll get to that here in just a minute. But I just wanted to give a brief review of the sword experience, tell you a little bit about it, what to expect if you do it, and just to tell you my thoughts on it. Got there actually probably about 2 hours before the event was scheduled to begin, and that was totally my fault. The event actually started at 9 a.m. And I forgot that Bowling Green, Kentucky is actually on Central Time. I live in Richmond, Kentucky, in the central part of the state. Bowling Green is part of is in the western part of the state, kind of the southwestern part. They're on Central Time, so I actually gained an hour going from east to west. So I got down there about 7 o'clock, had about 2 hours before the event began. So I just grabbed a bite to eat and was killing time. Got to the Corvette Museum part, and I see Adrian Paul out front with a couple other people that I think may have been the instructors and part of the production staff. And it looked like he was shooting some video for exterior shots for the fight sequence, or like the video portion of the event. So I didn't want to bother him. I didn't go up and talk to him or anything. Went into the museum, asked one of the security guards, I said, I'm here for the sword experience. Where is that? And he showed me where it was. And it was in a part of the Corvette Museum that I had never been in before and didn't even know it was there. When I signed up for the sword experience and they said it was at the National Corvette Museum, I've been to the National Corvette Museum tons of times. If you watch any of my videos, you know I'm a huge Corvette fan. And I thought, well, where are they going to have it in the Corvette Museum? The only place I thought that they could maybe have it was, there's kind of like a long hallway that goes past where the library and archives and the Corvette store is, where they park the cars for the RHC delivery, people that have purchased Corvettes and are picking them up there at the museum. And I thought, well, maybe they're having it there, but I thought, well, surely they're not going to have it there with Corvettes parked there and have people swinging swords. It wasn't there. It was actually just off to the right of that, and there was kind of like it looked like a giant banquet hall. So that's where the event actually was, where we were practicing the sword fighting. So we got there, signed in about 9 o'clock. Everybody goes through the line. You tell them your name, and they give you your armband depending on which level of sword experience that you could purchase. I think there was like the basic one, and then I think the next one up was, I want to say, the elite one. That was the one that I signed up for. And then there was one above that called the gold experience. And then you could also pay to be a spectator. A couple people were there, just had paid to be spectators. I signed up for the elite event. I would have signed up for the gold, but I signed up too late. You had to do that, I believe it said, a month prior to the event. The only difference I could tell between the elite that I signed up for, which was I believe $320, and then the next higher up, I believe, was like $100 more. The only difference I could really tell was the people that signed up for the gold experience got a little bit more elaborate boken. The boken is a long wooden sword, and I'll show you the one that I've got here in just a second. So theirs was a little bit more elaborate, looked like maybe a little bit higher quality. The blade on theirs was looked like it was stained, like a darker color, and a little bit more elaborate handguard and grip. So I think that was probably the price difference between the elite experience and the gold experience. So sign in was at 9 o'clock. The event actually started probably about 9:45 with Adrian Paul. If you don't know who Adrian Paul is, Adrian Paul was the Highlander on Highlander the series. Love that show. Absolutely love that show. Big Highlander fan. Big Adrian Paul fan, even before he was the Highlander. A show I very rarely missed when it was on back in the 90s. Haven't seen all of the movies. I think I've seen maybe half of them. But Adrian Paul was the main instructor, along with two other instructors that I believe he said were local there to the Bowling Green area. I believe they were martial arts instructors, but Adrian was main instructor. So we started about 9:45, and he just ran us through some stretching exercises. Trying to just warm up your shoulders, your hips, in preparation for the sword fighting moves. Um, I was pretty much front row center, and that was not by choice. And I thought, oh Lord, I'm going to be the first one that he notices. So after we did the stretching exercises, we kind of run through the moves, he would point out, if you were doing something wrong, very patient with all of us. I'm not the best martial artist, and certainly not a sword fighter. I remember him telling me, I can tell that you're going to be the attacker when we do the film section. He says you keep leaning forward when you're doing your moves, and he was right. I do have a tendency to lean forward when I was doing the sword fighting. So we practiced all the moves, and then we kind of did a thing where we did the moves in sequence. With the sword experience, they have a numbering system. So they'd have one. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4, and so on. 1 through 12, depending on the different attack and defense positions. So we ran through that. We got several water breaks, and you will need them. They even provided bottles of water for us, which I thought that was really nice. They didn't have to do that. They could have said, take a water break, go get water to the fountain or purchase water. But they actually had bottled water there for the participants, and I thought that was very nice of them to actually provide water for us. So we had, I believe, 2 water breaks, and like I said, you will need it. This is a workout. I was sweating to the point where I'm glad I brought an extra shirt because I needed it, because the first one I had was pretty much drenched in sweat, and the second one I wore was drenched in sweat by the end of the day. If you're going to participate in the sword experience, I hope you're at least in somewhat good physical condition. You don't need to be a trained martial artist, but you do need to be in shape, because they run you through your paces in the sword experience. It is a lot of movements with the sword, a lot of footwork. So we had a break around lunchtime, and I just grabbed just some chips and a drink there at the Corvette Museum. I didn't go out because I didn't think I'd have enough time. When we came back in, we practiced, I think, what would be probably the first part of the actual fight sequence. And Adrian Paul told us that we were going to be doing a musical based on Grease, kind of in a tribute to Olivia Newton-John, who had just recently passed away. Of course, she starred in Grease. He said, this is the first time that I've done one of these fight sequences that was a musical. He said, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And I thought, well, hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves and embarrass him. And I think we did okay. So when we came back from lunch, we did part of the musical part. He would break us into groups. I was in group 1A, I believe. So we ran through that. After we did that, we paired up again to practice with a partner. And he said, I want you paired up, girl, guy. So pretty much, if you were a guy, you were paired up with a girl. And I think maybe there were a couple of guys that were paired up with other guys. There were 30 participants total, so it worked out pretty well. An even number of people. So for that, I was paired up with a partner who was female, and she wasn't the best swordsman in the world either. And I can tell, she's probably about on the same level as us. I don't know if that's why Adrian paired us up together or not. Maybe he thought, they're about, matched equally as far as their skills. But I don't know if that's true or if it was just all random. So we practiced. We were still inside at that point. After that, we went outside to film the main part of the musical fight sequence. So we ran through that. Of course, Adrian had one of the cameras, and I believe there was one other guy that had a camera that was filming us the whole time. And of course, Adrian was giving us direction. Saying, go through your fight sequence. When I say stop, turn, and look toward him or toward wherever the camera is. So that was part of the fight sequence. After that was over, we did a group photo in front of a mural there at the Corvette Museum with all the participants, with Adrian kind of there in the center. After the group photo, we lined up for individual photos. So if you were a participant, you got an individual photo, or at least I know the people that paid for the elite experience and the gold experience got to do individual photos where it's just you standing next to Adrian Paul. So I got that photo. After that, we went back inside, and we had to wait a while because he was still filming the very final part of the fight sequence inside with the two guys that were kind of like the two main actors in the fight sequence part. So that took a few minutes. Everybody was patient, and we waited on him, and then we lined up to get our autograph signed by Adrian, and I'll show you my autograph here in just a second. I can't say enough about this sword experience. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. Great experience. If you're a Highlander fan, if you're an Adrian Paul fan, if you're a fan of martial arts, sword fighting, or if you're just a fan of how they make motion pictures or how they choreograph fight scenes for movies and films, you will get something out of this. I promise. If you're on the fence, hesitating, don't hesitate. Go ahead, sign up and do it. I believe the next one is in Atlanta, and I think the one after that is in Tampa, and then the final one of the year, I believe, was supposed to be in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So if you're close to the Atlanta area, Tampa area, or if you're in Canada, go ahead and sign up. You won't regret it, I promise you. I promise you, I don't regret it a bit. It was worth every penny, at least it was to me. So let me get back to the autograph signing. We all got in line. He signed our pictures. Was asking people, where are you from? He signed mine, and I said, thanks for doing this. I hope to do this again next year. I said, I'm a big fan. I've been a fan since you were Jeremiah Collins, back before you were Duncan MacLeod. Jeremiah Collins is the character that he played in a TV show back in. It aired in the late part of 1990 into the early part of 1991. So when I said, I've been a fan since you were Jeremiah Collins, he said, yeah, that didn't last long. And he was right, it didn't last long. He played Jeremiah Collins, who was the brother of Barnabas Collins, who was the vampire main character in the TV show, played by the late, great Ben Cross. He said, yeah, that didn't last long. He said they canceled it because of the Gulf War. And he was correct. It only ran for one season. And they kept preempting, NBC kept preempting Dark Shadows for news coverage of the Gulf War. And he was only in 3 episodes. And I said, yeah, you should have gotten more screen time. But great guy. Adrian Paul, great actor, great swordsman, great martial artist. Can't say enough positive things about Adrian Paul. Great guy. I was a fan before the sword experience. I'm an even bigger fan now. Very patient with me. Again, I'm not the best martial artist. I'm certainly not a swordsman, but he took the time to show me how to do the moves correctly. So if you do the sword experience, you will get to interact with Adrian Paul. If you're a fan of the Highlander, thinking, man, it'd be great to actually get to interact with him, you will. We all did. So if you're at the front of the line, you eventually will rotate around. If you're by the front of the line, I mean, if you're lined up in the front row when the class starts, you will eventually be toward the back. If you're in the back, you'll eventually be toward the front, or at least that's how it worked when I did the sword experience. I'll post a link to the sword experience here in this video if you're thinking about signing up. Again, the next date, I believe, is Atlanta. The date after that is Tampa, Florida, and the one after that is in Toronto. Got to show you my wooden sword, what they call a boken, and my certificate and my autographed picture. Let me grab them. Okay, so this is the wooden sword I got, called a boken, and it was signed by Adrian Paul. He signed it Bowling Green 2022, Adrian Paul, signed right there near the handle. This is the one I got for this was I believe the Elite Experience, the one that was $299. The Gold Experience, like I mentioned before, the boken was a little bit more elaborate than this. The blade was stained, a little bit more elaborate hand guard here, and it had what looked like kind of like a faux leather, kind of a reddish grip here on this part. So that was, I believe, the only difference in the price. And I also got an autograph photo. I'll show you that next. Hang on. Okay, so here is the photo. They had several that you could pick out. This is the one that I picked. I thought that one was the best looking one, the coolest one. You know, him as Duncan MacLeod, the Highlander. He signed it, you know, to Patrick, there can be only one. Adrian Paul. Very cool. Gotta add this to my celebrity photograph collection. I've got a video on that too. And you also get a signed certificate that he signs. It's got your name, the date, and sword experience in Kentucky. So there you have it. That's my review of Adrian Paul's sword experience. Again, if you're kind of on the fence like I was, don't hesitate. Go ahead and sign up now. And if it was me, I would sign up for the gold event. That's the one I'm going to do. If they come back to Bowling Green next year, which I hope they do, I'll be there. And I'll sign up for the gold event next time and get a little bit more elaborate bokeh. Thanks for watching. Hope this review helped you out. Adrian Paul, if you're watching this, I enjoyed every minute of it, sir. Glad that I signed up for it. Can't wait to do it again. Thank you for watching.